Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the BBB podcast. Today, we have an amazing guest, Bri Seeley. Bri is a bespoke business designer who works with both established and emerging female entrepreneurs to create highly profitable business through consistent revenue creation. Bri uses an inside-out approach combining hypnotherapy with custom strategy to help you create long-term sustainable success on your terms. Bri is also the founder of Success Becomes Me, the premier educational resource to help entrepreneurs to thrive and profit. Hello, beautiful Bri. How are you?
Hi, Julie. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to have you. You've got some exciting things coming up in 2023, and I was so happy that you actually messaged me, reached out to me to be a speaker on the podcast. So I'm so grateful. So Bri, before we get started, I did a little intro for you before we started talking, but I would love for you in your own words to kind of tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, my entrepreneurial journey began well before I started any of my own businesses. My mom ran her own companies. And so it was funny because I watched her do it when I was in high school and growing up. And I was like, I never want to do that.
Right.
And then I get into the real world. I finish my bachelor's and my master's, get into the real world. I'm working a job not in my preferred field, and was like, well, I'll just start a little side thing where I can just keep my creativity going. And that turned from, I was a fashion designer, turned from doing one-off bridesmaids dresses and prom dresses and flower girl dresses to having a collection that sold on Zappos.com and winning awards and dressing Toni Braxton and like all this stuff. So I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, but then what I learned was after 8 years, it was not in alignment with my core values and what I needed in order to be successful in business. And the thing that I learned the most was my top core value is freedom. Fashion is not a freedom-inducing business. I had I had a full office in the fashion district of downtown LA, and one of my machines alone weighed 400 pounds. Not to mention all of the stock and merchandise and supplies and other machinery and patterns. It was so much. My friends used to joke, I'm child-free, and they used to joke that everywhere I went, I would have like a quote unquote diaper bag with me because I just have like all of my supplies and equipment and all this stuff that I had to bring with me everywhere. And it was terrible. So I shut my business down and realized that women had been asking me how to do what I did with my business in their businesses. I'd been on the Today Show. I just had all these accolades, all this success, all these things, and women wanted my insights. And so I said, all right, well, I have all this experience in entrepreneurship. My day job had been as a counselor. So I also have all this experience as a counselor. I'll just combine the two and become an entrepreneur coach. And so I've been doing this for the last 8 years. As people are listening to this, my business structure has actually massively changed this year. I have launched a women's conference, which is now becoming its own nonprofit and housing all of my programming and other contributors' programming. My for-profit business has become my thought leadership platform, public speaking, private consulting, and book writing, things like that. So I was reflecting the other day, I was like, am I going to do this like every 8 years? Because I'm like, 8 years shut down my fashion business. I'm not shutting down right now, of course, but 8 years later, I'm like having a massive renovation in my business and restructuring. So yeah.
I think restructuring, sometimes they just happen organically, right? Like as we grow, as we evolve, as we kind of figure out, I don't think we ever really figure out what we are meant to do. It's an evolving process, right? And you know what? I loved what you said about it being in alignment, right? With your goals and structure and stuff like that. And I loved, that's actually my word for 2023 is alignment. And
Yay.
I want to do more of what is in alignment with my core values, instead of, saying yes to the things that maybe don't feel that alignment with. And, particularly like what kind of, like, how do I want to run with my business, and how do I want to show up on social media? I'm going for the aligned route versus the what I think I should do.
I firmly believe that is the only way to succeed in business. Like all these people out there that are like, oh, I know the 5 steps you have to take. They don't work for everyone. There is no silver bullet. There's no generic template. It doesn't work. So I tell people, I'm like, please stop investing in the BS marketing tactics, because while they work for some people, they don't work for everyone. If it's not in alignment with who you are, you can't force yourself to change and make something feel good. It's like putting on a sweater that's 10 sizes too small. It's always going to feel terrible. Just don't do it. Just buy a sweater that fits you. I promise you, it is way more effective and way more comfortable.
And wouldn't you say that it's amazing? Like you quit, like you left that behind for the unknown, right? And I did that a little bit too, like on maybe a smaller scale. Like I was a photographer. Then I kind of quit that and did network marketing. And then I let myself quit network marketing, get back into photography. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, I want a global business. How do I do that? And that's who I am today, like 3-4 years later, right? But wouldn't you say that it takes that courage? It takes a lot of courage to make that decision and to go towards the way of alignment and unknown versus staying in something that we are not comfortable. We don't like being in anymore. And it's how amazing that when we are doing something that is in full alignment, the opportunities that come for us, the doors that open for us, everything. I think we just got to really trust the journey, right? Like when they say trust the journey, they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I actually usually wear a bracelet every day. I didn't put it on this morning, but it says enjoy the journey. And it's so true that the path that each of us are here to walk in our businesses is not a predetermined path. We are the ones who carve it out. And so trying to follow blindly what other people have done simply because it worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for us. And so, the thing, and I know we'll get into this a little bit with my topic, is like, we always have to have that vision. Like it's our vision, and the things that we do to build that vision into reality have to come through us. They have to come through our values. They have to come through who we are in the world, how we show up. And you're totally speaking my language. My first book was called Permission to Leap. It was all around, it was step by step. How do you walk through the process of taking an idea, which is just energy. It's not tangible. You can't touch it, and turn it into a reality in this physical plane, a reality that you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And I think the gap between those two places is a lot for people. It's that whole unknown, like you were saying, it's so hard to wrap our minds around the unknown because our brains can only function based on what we know and what we've experienced in the past. Our brains do not base our decisions on the unknown. Our heart is where the unknown lives. And so many of us exist in our brains. And if our brains say, well, we can't see it, we can't touch it, we haven't experienced it in the past, therefore it's not feasible. It's not true. You're just accessing information from the wrong space. If you can go into your heart, I just read this great quote that said, Fear is, what was it? Fear is the guiding light for the true direction of the heart.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Fear doesn't exist. If you haven't seen it yet, you have to Google the Will Smith "Fear is Not Real" video. It's from his movie. It's amazing. I love that. It's like a 2-minute clip from that movie, but he just goes in about how fear is not real, right? Fear is like it's imagination. It's our imagination. But I love all of that. And so anyway, so we should get started and talk about what you came here to talk about, which is making the successful transition from solopreneur to CEO. And I'm excited to talk to you about this today because I feel like I'm at that place now. I'm ready to make that jump. I'm ready to make that transition from solopreneur to CEO. So and I can tell just from talking with you before we hit the record button how passionate you are about this topic and helping women entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general. So let's get started. I've got a couple of questions here for you, and we'll just see where it leads us.
Cool.
Ready?
I am ready.
Cool. I love your glasses, by the way. They're like so cool.
Thanks.
Okay, so you always start every transition like this is a very specific way. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So the thing that I always start people with is most people want to start with action. And that's actually not the first step. The first step is the vision. So you need to know, what are you aiming towards? You wouldn't get a bow and arrow and close your eyes and just let it go in any direction.
Mm-hmm.
You would take it, you would, focus on the bullseye. You would take aim and then you would hit it, right? So in order to do the same with your business, your life, whatever, you really need to have that vision. You need to know exactly what that bullseye looks like for you. And again, as we were just talking about, that bullseye is going to look different for every single person listening to this podcast right now. It's going to be different for both you and I as well. Mm-hmm. Every single person's vision is unique, but if you start taking action without having the vision, you're going to go in all sorts of wrong directions before coming around to where you're actually meant to be going.
Okay. So how do we know if we have the right vision? Like for some of us, trying to envision something that we have never envisioned before. Do you know what I mean? Some of us, we just know. Like, I've always been a visionary. I know I can close my eyes and I see clearly where I'm going. But that's not that easy for all of us. And so for if there's listeners out there going like, how do I figure out what my vision is? Do you have any tips for that?
Yep, I do. So first off, there's 2 different types of visioners that I've come across in my journey. The first is a very specific one. I'm guessing you and I are very specific visioners. I'm like, I know what I want. I know what I'm going for. I set goals very easily. It's like very good.
Yeah. And now I'm going to go get it.
Exactly. Some visioners are more general. So they don't necessarily know exactly what they want, but they may know how they want to feel. Or they may know a certain element of the experience, or they may start out knowing what they don't want and then flipping that into what they do want. I always tell people, though, don't stay fixated on what you don't want, because you'll just end up creating more of it. That will become your bullseye, even if you don't want it to. So those are a few tips. The other thing I love to do, and I do this with every single client I work with, is I have a meditation called the Future Self Meditation. It is an awesome meditation. It is like a visioning, like kind of like a vision quest. And it has changed women's lives.
Amazing.
Like wardrobes, hairstyles, like all sorts of stuff. So I don't usually give it out, but if anyone's listening to this and you want my Future Self Meditation, if you just reach out to me on pretty much any platform, I am happy to send my Future Self Meditation to anyone that wants it.
Cool. I'll put that info in the show notes too. So to message you about it. Okay, cool. Because I'm like, I want that meditation.
I will send it to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now that we have the vision, what's next?
So what's really interesting is when we start expanding into the bigness of our vision, there's a part of ourself that wants to like instantly snap us back to that's not possible, right? I have wondered recently where that term like having second thoughts comes from, because when I work with people and we do these things, their immediate second thoughts are, well, what if it's not possible for me?
It's
well,
the
that's
boogeyman.
really big.
I call him the boogeyman.
Yep. And so what I love to do is really get into the subconscious and start rewiring those paradigms, those operating systems that we have. We have like an operating system on our laptop or our cell phone, right? That, it tells the cell phone how to operate. Well, we have operating system within our minds as well. It was programmed when we were very, 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 very little. The difference, though, is that we upgrade our operating system on our devices all the time. When's the last time you upgraded your operating system in your mind? So
I love that. And it's so true, right? And like you're right, like what we think about, we bring about, right? So it's such an important step of making our vision a reality.
Yeah, I love using hypnotherapy to get into the subconscious to really identify like what are the paradigms, what are the operating systems, what is that programming that's been put in there that's telling me, oh, that vision that you have is not possible for you, because that story, that perspective is likely coming from a version of yourself that was 7 years old or younger. So here you are, 30, 40, 50 years old, wanting to aim for these things. And this part of you that's 3, 4, 5, 6 years old is literally holding you back from moving forward with them. So when we have that vision, we want to make sure that our operating system is on board with that vision so that we're not having all of those second thoughts holding us back from moving forward with it.
I love that. And Bri, quickly, if we want to work on our operating system, what are some easy, fast tools we can use in order to start that? Like, I mean, I've been doing this for years via different ways, reading books, energy therapy, I've been, and I mean, I think it's one of those things that we need to also continuously do in our life and in our business. But if our listeners are like, well, how do I start to do that without doing hypnotherapy or the things, right?
Yeah. So I will say it is a process. What happens is we've had these thoughts and this operating system ingrained. It is a well-worn path. It's been within us for a long time, depending on how old you are. So it's not going to take just one application in order to change those thought patterns. So the first thing is awareness. You have to know that you're having these thought patterns in order to change them. You also have to sit down and decide, do I want to hold on to these thought patterns or do I want something new? Once you've made that decision, if you want something new, you literally get to rewrite for yourself what you want to believe. Now, the last step of this is probably the hardest for people, and it is the practice step.
Yes.
You have to reaffirm in your mind day after day, after hour, after minute, after minute, after minute, over and over and over and over and over again, that this is your reality. So little things like I changed the screensaver on the back of my cell phone so that I open it up. Today's says, I was effing born for this. And I just keep notes all over. I have a note on my computer that says, what's the best that could happen? I keep stuff everywhere to consistently remind me of what I'm building, who I am, and what that new operating system is that's going to help keep me on track.
Yeah, I love that. And you said practice. Practice is a skill that we develop over time. We're not we're not changed the next day, right? It's something that we have to continue. And we're going to have to do it at every level that we get to as well, right? Like it's not something that you ever arrive. You never arrive at that place where you're perfect all the time. And I think, I read a book. Actually, I didn't read it because it's not a book, but I listened to Joe Vitale called The Missing Secret, and it's a program that is on Audible, and it's great because he goes into this, and it's so true that it's something that we have to do for the rest of our life, right? To have that life that we all so desire, right?
Well,
Life and business.
and what's interesting is like the things that I was making decisions about 8 years ago when I started this business are radically different than the things that I'm making decisions about now. And so every step of my journey that I go to up level, I have to redo my subconscious programming. Like right now, as people listen to this, I will have just wrapped up my first conference. The plans are to have 1,400 women there. I have 18 speakers coming in from around the world. Like,
amazing.
This is the biggest thing that I've ever done in my entrepreneurial career. It's the biggest budget. It's the biggest production. I am like well out of my comfort zone here. I have no idea what is happening with a lot of this stuff, and I'm still just moving forward. I have had so many breakdown moments over the last 5 months of planning this that I just have had to keep bringing myself back up, right?
Yes.
And it's the same yet different from the ones I was having when I first started this business.
Okay.
When you go to take bold action, I think no matter what you're doing, you have to kind of keep reassessing all these things. Like Joe Vitale said, it is a lifelong process, and it's just a commitment. Once you make it, this is what we signed up for. I just watched a video from Simon Sinek, and it was a day that I was ready to quit. And he was like, this is what we signed up for. And I'm like, oh, okay. I signed up for this. All right.
You need a sticky note for that.
Right.
Right. And I mean, he knows what he's talking about a little bit. So
yep.
I love that. And I love how you said bold action too, right? But when we do this, if you take action, whether it's little or bold, right? There is magic to be happen and to be seen, and magic that happens in our uncomfortable zones. And it's crazy. Like, I've been seeing it now for the last 6 months, and I'm sure you can attest to it as well, right? The beauty in us moving into and past the fear into our uncomfortable zones, right?
And what I've found is, we can sit back and we can manifest and we can ask for all these things and we, all this stuff, but the universe meets us when we take action. When we go and put ourselves out there, the universe meets us there. If you're sitting on your couch eating bonbons and watching Netflix all day, every day,
salt and vinegar chips and cookies,
or cappuccinos or whatever you're, like it's when, we think about The Secret, right? They talked about the red car. I always tell people, I'm like, but here's the thing. In order for the red car to manifest in your driveway, you have to go test drive it. You have to decide which one you want. You have to walk into the dealership and sign the papers. You have to, yes, you can get it delivered to your driveway, but it's because you took action to have it delivered to your, it's not just thinking about the things you want. It's yes, the vision, yes, the subconscious realignment. And I know we'll get to this. Step 4 in my process is action. You have to show up. You have to do the things. And then the universe will meet you there and make magic. But it's not going to happen if you're just sitting around on your couch all day, every day.
Yeah. Only if only, right? But you know what? Taking action is also so much fun, and it can be so rewarding. But let's move into the next step of your action plan. So now we have the vision. We're aligned with the vision. Do we start taking action now?
So not yet. So what I like to do, so we've got the bullseye. We know exactly what we're aiming at. We're aligned. We've got everything moving in the same direction to take us to that bullseye. And we want to make sure that we're strategic about how we're getting there. We, again, don't just want to be all willy-nilly and take all of the actions. I mean, you can. It's going to lead you to burnout. You're going to be hustling. You're going to be overworking yourself. It's going to be exhausting. The majority of those actions are not going to produce results. We want to be strategic. So I'm big on, you could take 2 to 3 actions a day and quickly and easily create your results. I don't believe, there's a lot of people out there that will say like, oh, you have to work like 56 hours a day and like 27 days a week. And like, blah, blah. I don't believe any of that stuff. 2 to 3 actions a day, but you have to make sure they're the right actions, which means you need a strategy. You need to know exactly all of the puzzle pieces that are coming together and how they're fitting together to get you to that bullseye, to that destination, that vision that you have. So it's about sitting down and understanding what are all the pieces of the puzzle. How am I going to fit them all together? How do they all come together to make that vision that we put together in step 1? And then,
okay. So an effective and aligned strategy is so underrated. What do we do with that strategy once it's developed? Did I say that right? Because I'm French and I can never say it right.
Yes.
Developed.
So now that you have the strategy, now you can take action, right? So like I was just saying, you want to make sure that you're taking effective actions. You don't, one of my first business coaches called it the spray and pray method, right? You don't want to spray and pray because then you're taking 100 actions a day and just hoping that one of them works. Well, what if you could just take 1 action a day and know that that action is going to work, right? So we want to make sure that before we get to actually going out there and doing the things, we've made a plan, we've made a map, we have a clear, understood idea of what's going to get us to that thing. And then we do get to go out and take action. And usually it results in amazing conversations and brand new, beautiful relationships and all sorts of fun, amazing, magical things that we could not or would not have experienced if we didn't do all of the previous steps.
I love that. And so when we're making our map, like kind of quickly, what does that look like? Like we can take my business, for example, or yours, or an imaginary business. But what would that look like in terms of like creating that strategy in order to get to that place where we can finally take action?
So what I like to do is bring in kind of all of the ingredients. It's funny because I literally do this when I'm baking, is I go to the cabinet and I get out all of the ingredients.
I'm the same way. See, I knew there was a reason why we loved each other.
I put all the ingredients on the counter and I see them all at the same time. And you kind of want to do the same with your business. You want to take out all the ingredients. Who is your customer? What are your core values? What are your revenue streams? How are you marketing? You want to like look at all of the bits and pieces and see, okay, well, if my customer is showing up in this place and my marketing channel is this thing, then I want to also show up in that place with this marketing channel that's going to lead them to this revenue stream, right? So it's really important. And this is the hard part about strategy. And I call myself a bespoke business designer because I don't think I've ever given the same strategy to 2 customers ever in 8 years. Never given the same strategy because every single business is different. Every single entrepreneur is different. Every single customer profile is different. And it's short-sighted to think that we can have one strategy that works for everything. So lay out all of your ingredients of your business and start to understand, how do these all fit together and how can I maybe reconfigure them in a different way than I have previously to create different results? What would that look like? And yes, there's best case, best use things online that can help you once you've identified your strategy. But there's things like Facebook ads to date have never worked for me. They work for a good amount of other people. They've never worked for me. Webinars sometimes work for me, but sometimes they don't. And so like, it's really important to remember that there's not a silver bullet, and you have to do the work of knowing what are all the ingredients available to you and how are you going to pull those together to make this really delicious cake at the end of the day, right?
I love it. And so if we're going to talk since we're talking about ingredients, what is the magic sauce to what we're talking about in business and in life really is getting out of your comfort zone, right? That's the secret.
I think it's a combination of that, honestly, and also a little intuition, because,
Yes.
it's that deep inner knowing that we have of, I've invested in things wanting it to work, yet having this slight knowing that I should not have invested in it, right? So we need to have that intuitive piece coupled with being willing to expand and grow ourselves to get the results we want. And, I like to think of it as, if you want to stay the same as you are, there's an Albert Einstein quote about this. You want to stay the same as you are, you're going to get the same results, right? Well, if you want different results, you have to also grow yourself. Like, you have to become a different person, which only ever happens outside your current comfort zone. If you're cool with where you're at, great, stay there. You're going to keep wash, rinse, repeating for as long as you stay there.
And for some people, that's what they want. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But for a lot of us, we want to grow. We want to move from solopreneur to CEO, right?
We want a team under us. We want quantum leaps. We want to have a team. We want to grow our revenue. We want to make a bigger impact. We want to increase our visibility, right? All of those things have to happen by you choosing to expand yourself, get out of your current comfort zone, be willing to do and see and experience different things. And, oftentimes that comes down to getting an outside perspective to help you. But it's also comes down to taking big, bold action and being willing to leave the cat on the couch and, get up off the couch every morning.
And leave Netflix and your popcorn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That was so good. But Bri, tell us, why are you so passionate about helping women make this transition from solopreneur to CEO?
So one of the things that I've seen over and over and over again, and honestly, like, I saw it in my mom, I saw it in my grandma, I saw it in my great grandma, I've seen it for, decades of women before us, is we are on the cusp of having the opportunity to redefine women's place in the world.
Oh, I just got chills.
Yeah. So this is what my entire TED Talk was about, was getting us out of that wage paradigm where we think that we have to compromise ourselves and compromise our value and compromise our worth and, just collect a paycheck in order to survive, and really truly step out into the world as the creators that we are born to be. Women, especially, we're natural creators. Our bodies are born to create. Like, we have the opportunity to create unlimited wealth in our lives. We have the opportunity to create incredibly impactful businesses. We have the opportunity to create workplaces and teams who are loved and honored and respected and paid fairly. Like, I want to see, my mission is to be raising the next generation of female billionaires. And I want more and more and more and more women to not only be starting businesses, but be stepping outside of the solopreneur box.
Yes.
So that we can have bigger businesses, we can have bigger impact, we can make more money. Because when women have equal access to economic opportunities, the entire world is going to change.
I love that. I love that so much. Wow. I'm like, so I have no words about this conversation that we've just had. It was like, I hope that it makes a huge impact on the listeners. So, and yay for TED Talk.
Thank you.
Right? That's such a great accomplishment. Congrats to you.
This was actually a vision that came to me.
Amazing.
January of 2020, I was meditating and I had this vision, and I looked down and I was standing on this red circular carpet, and I like in the vision was like, oh my gosh, I'm giving a TED Talk right now.
That's so amazing.
But it's interesting how like that first vision piece can really help give us the confidence to say yes in building the other things. The confidence came to me in a vision as well. And I firmly believe I'm just a conduit here to be, bringing forth ideas that are certainly not mine. They come to me, but they're not mine. And I just get to use my knowledge and life experience to help guide other people in that same direction.
Incredible. And impact the lives of so many other women. And you know what, like you were saying, we all deserve and all of that good stuff. And also it's our birthright, right? And so to all the women, we're all going to go out there and make our visions become reality. But I want to know if people are totally vibing with you, where can we find you? And I know you've got something going on in the next few weeks. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So my website is the best place to find me, briseeley.com. By the time this comes out, there'll be some changes, but you'll still be able to access everything from that primary website. It'll all be linked everywhere. And I'm actually I've been retooling a program that I've run for several years to become a training ground to help women go from solopreneur to CEO. So if you have listened to this and you're like, yes, there's some opportunities to work with me and my team around really truly bringing this to life, like putting together your vision, your strategy to get out there and be growing your business so that you're not that solopreneur just working alone, trading time for money over and over and over again, but we're like really getting you out there.
I know. And sometimes we sign up for, to build online businesses, but then we're like working 15 hours a day. That's not what we signed up for. So that's great. I'm going to include this in the show notes, your program, because I think it definitely needs to be in front of everybody. You also have an amazing freebie for us. It's called How to Guarantee Consistent Income in Your Business. Tell us a little bit about that. And I'm sure that everybody who listens is going to want to grab that.
Yes. So one thing I see a lot from solopreneurs is this kind of roller coaster of income where, we'll put in all sorts of effort and we'll make a bunch of income and then we get tired or burnt out and then we like nosedive and, we dip in our income and then we got to generate it back up again and we got to like ramp it back up to be generating that income again. And so this worksheet is designed to help you really kind of like flatten out those highs and lows and like really create just more consistency so that you're not riding that roller coaster and just feeling out of control.
Amazing. Because also that can be like a total emotional roller coaster as well, right?
So
true.
I
think we all have gone through that. And so it's great that, people can learn through you and trying to avoid that. I mean, business is never a straight line up. We're always gonna, it's kind of goes like this. We've all seen the graphics.
Yes. Yeah. But the more we can minimize the highs and the lows, I mean, I've had so many debilitating moments in my journey that just frankly were unnecessary. And I wish I had this knowledge and wisdom before I started my journey, because I could have saved myself a whole lot of stress and heartache.
I know. And these are the freebies to look out for, right? Like it's free, download it. Because I'm sure that, we can all I can't wait to download it because, like you said earlier, we can all, it's skills we develop, over time. And so we can always take from, I find that it's so amazing that we can find nuggets of information or get tips and tricks from other entrepreneurs to help guide us through our businesses, right? And I think it's so important and I think it's mandatory.
Yeah. Yeah. I just put a TikTok video out while we're recording this about studying the craft of entrepreneurship and how normal it is to study the craft as if you're a lawyer or a doctor or a plumber or an electrician or a hairstylist, they all study their craft. Well, as entrepreneurs, a lot of us do not study the craft of business. So we don't know all the things that come with actually running a successful business. And so part of my platform, my entire platform that I've been building is becoming like the top entrepreneurial education platform for entrepreneurs to understand and learn all of the things that go into building a business, because otherwise you're trial and erroring it. And that is an expensive, time-consuming journey.
It is. And if we can shave time off of, achieving our goals and getting to that finish line, not what we never get to the finish line, but you know what I mean? Like, we can,
little ones,
right.
But we can,
if we could cut time in half or in like more than half, right? Like if we, by doing the right things, we can get there in a year instead of 5, because we went through that whole roller coaster thing. Like, I'm in, sign me up.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Oh,
Facts.
amazing. This was such a good talk, Bri. I'm so grateful for you. And thanks so much for reaching out, because I was excited when I got your email, because we've only just met, like at the time of this recording, we met last week.
Yep.
And I never heard about Bri before. And my, oh my, am I ever glad I met you, because you're an amazing person. And I think we vibe and we have the same core values and everything like that. And I think our goal is the same, to help women entrepreneur achieve their goals and their vision. And so it's been so great talking to you, and I'm just excited for what the future holds for you, because you have big plans this year, and it's just all very exciting. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was such a lovely afternoon.
Amazing. And so if you guys want to know more about Bri, or if you want to follow her on socials, I'm going to include all of that in the show notes for you, and you can go and check her out. So thanks for listening, and I will chat with you in the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.